Okay, this video is just gonna go over some impulse control work. Now, we do have a separate video on the settle command using Goldie, that golden retriever that's in the other videos. And it may seem like it's really different. It's not. Everything in that video will still apply to Thor, so please watch that one as well. But I did want to make some specifics just so I could note some observations with Thor specifically. But watch that one too. It's all really important. It's basically the same thing. Just being so excited and so happy-go-lucky and eager to get attention and greet everybody that they just cannot contain all that excitement and energy, and it manifests as jumping for Thor, but also for Goldie and most of our golden retrievers. So for Thor specifically, he's gotten pretty good, especially when he's not overtired or overstimulated. He's really good about offering us nice default sits where he approaches us and he sits down. But well, that's a lot of great improvement. We love that. It's a really, really good first step. We're also seeing where if we don't give him attention right away or reward him right away, he'll start to jump up. And then sometimes when we look at him again, he'll sit. It's like, oh, I'm being bad, but oh, I know the good thing to do. But he's not just always doing the good thing. So it's going to take a lot more reinforcement. You know, in 2 weeks to be doing a default sit is really, really impressive. I'm excited for him. He's also taking redirection super, super well. So if I tell him sit, he's very quick to do it, even with distractions, which is really, really wonderful. But just note that, you know, if you don't give him attention right away, he may jump, which is the habit we want to break. So we want to increase the time that he has to sit before he gets that attention. So we're going to build up his stamina there. And the other thing that I am noticing him do is when you go to pet him after, right now he's eating a treat, so it's fine, but when you go to pet him after he's done his nice calm greeting, is sometimes then he starts to jump up. So then we have to ignore and redirect again. So it's just going to take some patience and consistency. So you're going to have to practice that. The other thing is that he does have a tendency to try to hump legs. This will improve once he's neutered, but the other big piece is sometimes they just do it as an attention-seeking method. So we're going to treat it the same way as jumping. We're going to tell him off, and then we'll redirect him. Sometimes for that, we do have to, like he's trying to do it now, he will redirect to sit very easily. It's like, all right, look, it's kind of the bad behavior thing, and we'll go back. But you can also redirect him to place. Yes, sit. Just to give him a couple of seconds or minutes just to kind of calm down, regroup, and then we can continue on. Okay, break. Sit. So one thing you can do when you get home to practice impulse control in general is just play what I call the calm greeting game. So what you'll do is you'll tell him to sit. Yes, good boy. We're going to toss the tree behind him. Here, sit. Yes, good boy. Toss the tree behind him. Thor, catch. Yes, sit. Thor, sit. Yes, good boy. Look, gonna make him hold it a little bit longer. Patience, patience. Good boy, yes. Toss the tree. Oh, that one may have gone a little too far. Let's see. There we go. Thor, catch. Yes, sit. Thor, sit. Yes, very good. We're going to hold it a little longer. Sit. See how he gets impatient? Good boy. Okay, yes. See if you can find that treat. But basically, what we're doing with this is practicing approaching and sitting right away, which helps us get to that default sit place. Again, a default sit is just where he knows when he approaches, he naturally just sits without even being asked. He just knows the right behavior. Really, really important. A lot of breeders will start working on this when they are in their care, but sometimes it gets lost, or sometimes they, don't have time to work on it, whatever. But it's just the most important skill to set before we can really get into more challenging impulse control work. But by doing this calm greeting game, we are practicing over and over again, him coming to us and sitting. And sometimes it's easier to practice in this scenario than it is to, okay, let's every time we come back inside, or every time a new person comes in the door, every time the kids get home from school, we're going to practice it. That's wonderful. We need to do that too. But sometimes we need that repetition for it to really lock in and stick, which the calm greeting gives us that opportunity to practice in a structured scenario where we can do it repetitively. He can build that habit up. And then it just becomes so much easier to do it in the real life scenario. those. And we want to be really consistent in that too, but we just need to practice to kind of build up to that. So calm greeting game, I highly recommend you practice just as he gets home in this first week. That is really, really important. Okay. And then the other things I want you to do is just making sure that we're building impulse control into his daily routine as much as possible. And there's 3 different ways that I want you to do this right away. And that is going to be when you're letting him out of the crate, what you're going to do is you're going to tell him sit, you'll tell him stay, you'll open the door super slowly. If he starts to dart out, close it again until you can get the door all the way open with him still in there, and then you can release him to come out. Don't do this when he really has to go potty. Just wait. Take them outside and do it next time. You can do it when you play the carry it game, which is also, I think, in the grad notebook. That's where we just toss treats in, then it'll come in and out. But you can start closing the door and practicing that in that scenario too, and you know he doesn't have to go potty. Same thing with threshold training. Really important every time you're going to take him on a walk or a car ride, practice threshold work. But don't do this when he really has to go potty. Typically here, I'll use my front door, front gate. I'll use these gates that lead out into the large yard. I just will not use my back door because potty training takes priority at this stage. And if I have them do threshold work, oftentimes they'll have an accident just because they really need to go out. So don't do it with your back door. Let them go potty. But then if you're taking them on a walk, do it when you leave to go out your front door. We'll touch more on a potty training video about the doors and what you're going to do. But as far as threshold training and impulse control, you'll tell him to sit, you'll tell him to stay, you'll walk through the door first, and then you'll invite him through after you. That's really important, but just getting him in the habit of seeing a door slightly open, him not just following his impulse to rush out of it. This is really good for safety too, but very, very good for impulse control. And then the third way I want you to practice impulse control is at mealtime. I want you to feed one meal on the crate, and I want you to use the other one for impulse control and stay work. But what you'll do is you put him in place. Yes, sit. Yes, you'll take his bowl of food. You'll really slowly lower it down. And once you can get it all the way on the ground with him still being on place, then you can say break and let him go eat. So same thing as the door opening of the crate. You're going to pull it back up if he starts to get off of it, and kind of move forward from there, slowly lowering it down, pulling it up if he's coming off until we can get it on the ground. So those are just some impulse control tips and just some observations we're seeing with Thor. Again, a lot of it's going to come down to consistency. Like he was just jumping on the back of my leg. I didn't want to lose my train of thought, but typically you'd say off and then you'd redirect with sit. Now, because he's gotten in this habit of jumping, and then when I turn around, he does the correct behavior, like just like that. He's jumping on the back of me, but when I turn around, he knows to sit. We can mark yes, you can give him some praise, but I wouldn't give him a ton of acknowledgement for that just because he was doing the bad thing before he did the good. It's kind of the same premise of dogs are really smart. So if every time they jump on the counter or they pull something off like a dish towel to play with, and then you tell them, in the counter example, off, and then you redirect them to place, and then they get a treat. Then they think, jumping on the counter equals, all right, command, then treat. So it's really important for us to capture the good behaviors. If he offers a default sit without any kind of jumping first, give him lots of praise. I mean, that is going to be like the best opportunity to reinforce good behavior. But if he does the bad thing first, we don't want him to think like, if I give, if I'm bad and I jump, then I sit, they're so excited because I did the right thing, and then I get a treat. And so we don't want him to come into that habit. So don't give as much acknowledgement when he jumps first, but instead we just want him to offer the correct behavior. But he's very, very smart. I mean, he catches on to things really quickly, which is a blessing and a curse. So you've just got to be careful with how you're reinforcing things. For example, right there, he's been jumping on my ankles or trying to chase my ankles to jump on. And then as soon as I turn around and look at him, he's seated. So he knows what he's supposed to do. It's just going to, again, take time and consistency. So practice, practice, practice. Play that calm greeting game. And please let me know if you have any questions. Off. Sit. Yes. So we're doing the humping thing again. That's not nice. Touch. Yes. Sit. Yes, good boy. Thor, look. Yes. Good job. Thor, here. Sit. Yes, good boy. That wasn't so good. Let's try again. Touch. Yes. Sit. Yes, that was good. Good boy. Good job.